I've seen a few videos here on TikTok, primarily by AJ, and dealing with starting out. How do you start out in this business? What's some advice for somebody who wants to start out in the cattle business? This is a extremely tough question because the easiest answer you want to give is just don't do it. And that's kidding aside. That's what I've always said to people. Yeah, just don't get involved. Well, that's the wrong answer. It really is. But I'll kind of dive into this. This is going to be a fairly lengthy video, I'm going to guess. But I'll try to dive into this and break it down and dissect it a little bit and get where I'm coming from. First of all, I'm a generational guy. I'm a 5th generation rancher. So I had the luck and fortune of inheriting what I have. So, I mean, that's a good thing, right? But you got to know how to hold on to it, because people who inherit fail probably at about the same rate as somebody starting out, if not probably more so, because they may not have learned how to do it, don't have it in their heart. And that's the big key in this industry, is you have to have it in your heart. This is not a career choice that you make in career day at high school. Say here at some high school, I'm trying to get the dog out of the picture. Say you're in some high school in the middle of Chicago, you're an urban kid. This is not a typical place to seek a career opportunity. You don't sit down and go, what do I want to be? Do I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a cattle rancher? That's generally not something that comes up. But does it come up? I think it does. And it comes up in people's idea to do that, but it has to be in your heart, and you have to follow that. And there's many different sectors in this field to where you could go. I mean, you could be a cow-calf guy, you could be a backgrounder guy, you could be a finisher. There's so many levels. You could be a seed stock. You could make your own breeding heifers. There's just a lot of avenues in which you can go. So you need to follow what's in your heart, like what has driven you to this field, and find out where that is, what it is that you like about it, and then go after that. And it's gonna depend upon your environment, where you're at geographically as well. If you're in the middle of farm country, you're probably not going to seek out like what I do. We're out in the middle of western Nebraska. We range our cattle. They're out here in big giant pastures. This is more of the cowboy style type world. So that's a different aspect. Well, I was lucky. I'll get back on this inheritance deal. So I was lucky to obviously inherit a lot of what I have, but here's what I really inherited the most was the knowledge, because I grew up in this industry all the way, from being a youngin'. And so you learn it. And I learned hard knocks way. I did not, just get to be the boss's son and get the easy ride. That isn't the way my dad did it. I mean, I was treated like the low man on the totem pole. I was completely an employee the entire time my dad was alive. The entire time. Until the last few years of his life, then I got involved in helping make ranch decisions. But you learn that from, literally building the fence yourself, fixing the tractor yourself, putting together 2 pieces of shit to make one run, to going out after that cow when it's 20 below zero because her ass fell out and you got to bring her in and stitch it back up. That's what I had to do. And if you still like it after all of that, you've got it in your heart. And that's what it takes in this industry. It's not just, you can't just pick a career and just say, yeah, I'm going to be a cattle rancher and think it's going to work. It's a tough, hard way to make a dollar. Everything generally works against you to make a profit, and you've got to figure out ways around that. Now, right now, cattle prices are high, and it's very attractive to get into this industry because of that. But interest rates are also high, and if you're going to start out, you're going to have to borrow money. And so what I would advise somebody to do when they're starting out, find the sector in which you are in love with, that you think you really want to be part of. Go out and go get a job. If you're at, I don't know what age you're wanting to be when you enter this area of life, But whatever that is, go and try to get a job in that sector and work in that sector and keep your ears open. Work from the ground all the way to as far as they will allow you to go, and absorb everything you can. Learn everything, ask questions, figure it out. When they're doing whatever it is they're doing, ask why. You know, and at first they're going to give you hell for asking why so much. But let them know that, hey, I'm interested in possibly doing this someday. As soon as they hear that, if they're worth a damn, they will help you and guide you with proper advice. They may razz you a little bit, but that's all right. That's just part of this industry. We're going to razz you, but don't take it personal. I will razz you, and if I'm razzing you, that means I like you. If I am just quiet and could give a shit less, then I could give a shit less. That's just what it is. But honestly, I've had some young kids. I try to bring them in as much as I can and try to teach them. I love doing that, but I like employees that are open to thought instead of coming in here telling me how they want to do it. I will feed you with as much information as my dad fed me and what I've learned since. And it doesn't mean that what I'm doing is the right way, but it instills thought so that maybe you can come up with your own plan that might be better. And it might be worse, but you're probably the one who's going to have to find that out. But you just want that opportunity, and I get it. I always had wanted that opportunity when I was young, and I really wasn't allowed until my dad got pretty close to, dying. So it was up to that point. I mean, honestly, he wasn't like completely sick when I started making some decisions, but nothing major was done until he died, and then it's just right there. And I thought, I was scared as shit. It was just like dropping a kid from, the top of the earth just right down into a position and saying, okay, sink or swim. Here you go. Here's the keys. Hope it starts. Hope it runs. Hope you know how to change the oil. Yeah, well, I didn't know. I didn't know how it would go. Lo and behold, I went through it and just knew what to do. And how did I know that? Because I listened all the way when I was a kid and didn't even know I was listening. I just always, took Dad's advice as to be in the gospel. And so I did it his way for a couple years. And then after that, then I started venturing off. I've never ventured too far away from that formula, trust me. But just a little bit here and a little bit there, tweaking things, trying things out to do things just a little bit different. But that knowledge is key, and you've got to get that knowledge. And I think you have to work for somebody at the ground level to get it. For as long as you can. I mean, how long is that? Everybody's going to be different. Some guys might learn it in a couple years. Some guys might take longer. Some guys may never be able to get off of that level and go for it. But eventually you can, and you just have to go for it. Then what do you do? Well, along the way, make key connections to people. Get involved with people who are in the ag industry in different aspects, like selling insurance, and bankers and lenders, tradesmen, people who work in sale barns, people who sell cattle through video. All these aspects. If you're getting involved at the farm level, you better learn how to drive a tractor and what it takes to grow a field of corn. I would have no clue. That would be not the industry for me. You need to learn all those aspects, and you need to learn and be connected with people who sell stuff to farms and all the different aspects of that world. Those connections will help you out. And even if you make friends with a banker, he may not be the guy that has the ability to lend you the money, but he can damn well give you good advice on lending money, and so you don't do it the wrong way. And that's what you need. You need these people to be with you and give you advice. I would advise somewhere along the way getting involved with an attorney. You're going to need an attorney through the bouts somewhere along the way. Legal battles. Google things. Google lots of things and read stuff on Google. Doesn't necessarily mean Google's right, but it gives you a starting point on an idea, on how things work and what you do. Get involved with a veterinarian. You're going to need to know. I still have to ask veterinarians questions of things I don't know. And in my aspect, I I love being a cow-calf guy because I love the thought of building a cow that is a really good cow with strong genetics and is built for this country and just thrives, you know. And then I want to be able to sell the absolutely best calves I can. I want people to walk away and go, fuck, those are great calves. If I hear that once in my life, I've got another 10 years in me. You know what I'm saying? It just drives me. I love it. Now, there's other people that their aspect is they just want to turn around and make $1. And especially the people that are incoming. And that's exactly where you got to be, is to make that cash flow. Perfect sector for doing that. There's a neighbor of mine. He's been in this business for forever. And his whole aspect is buying everything at the cheap and then selling it. But that profit margin is big. You follow me? He's looking at the profit margin, not the pride. So he continues and lives by that profit margin, and that's great. Anyway, just go out there and do what it is that you love and get in love with it and work at the ground level and learn everything you can from everybody around you that you possibly can. Then go out and try to make investments. And while you're making those connections, you might have found a guy who's got a pasture who he's wanting to rent, but he's made good friends with you. So as a favor, he might rent that to you at a little bargain price, or come into a partnership. Look for partners. That's another thing. Look for the partnership. You know, when you're making these friends, they might partner with you a little bit out of sympathy, a little bit out of wanting to make a couple dollars, but they'll go out and stretch with you because they know you and like you. And maybe they'll rent the pasture cheap or even for nothing if they can get a percentage of the product when you sell it. You know, these are angles that are really helpful. Borrowing equipment from neighbors, you know, getting involved in people that you like, and they can share that stuff when you're small. You know, they can maybe come and help you put up your hay or corn or whatever it is you got to put up. They might help you feed before you have a tractor. They might lend you a tractor for a little while. All these things. Maybe they'll do a deal like, hey, if you feed my cows over here for me, I'll let you use the tractor to go feed yours. You know, all these things help out to try to lower the cost input to get into it. And I hope that helps. And like Wes has said, what a key aspect is getting that right in the early beginning is getting cash flow. So you need to buy something that you can turn around and sell to get that cash flow moving. Then go on to your next step of goal once you get this cash flow going. Because you can't just borrow a lot of money and then expect to be able to ride that for 2 years without an income. So there's different aspects. And like I say, getting involved with people that are in the know and seeking their advice and listening to them. But you really need to get to know somebody face to face, heart to heart, and be buddies with them, you know. Throw back a couple of Budweisers with them and you know, just really get involved and let them know that that's what you're wanting to do, is you're wanting to get into this business and you have honor and faith in them, and ask them questions. I know a few people that they're afraid to ask because they feel like, oh, I'll sound like the dummy. I don't think you're a dummy. And if you ask with good intent and say, this is what I'm wanting to do, what do you think is best? We love to help. We love to help answer those questions in that scenario. I hope that kind of helps. It's not like the golden key, like here's the instruction manual how to start, because there isn't one. But that's the best advice I think I can try to help give at this point. Anybody who has questions and they want to delve deeper, we can go deeper into this subject. In the future, I'd like to do a live on this topic, but I got to wait to do another couple of them before I have the ability to bring on guests, because I don't want this to be a topic just for me. I want to bring some guests on, and I'd like to have a chance for people to ask opinions on how do you get started, or what's good advice and what you're doing. So we'll do that down in the future as soon as my live ability allows me to.